Hello, hi, it's Henry the computer guy, and you're welcome to our lesson number 27. And in today's lesson, we are going to be talking about some of the examples of ICT safety precautions. What does the word precaution mean? Precaution specifically means the measures taken in advance to prevent something dangerous from happening. You're working upon a system or a computer, you're repairing it. Why do you put some liquid close to it? So these are actually the things we can do to prevent some problems from happening. So for example, we begin with point 1. And they're telling us that food and drinks should not be placed near a machine. Refer to the diagram up here. We have our keyboard, we have a cup of tea. So you're working upon a component, but you put a cup of tea close to that component. Accidentally, you're going to knock down the cup of tea, then you're going to lose the component you're working upon. So it is always advisable not to put drinks close to the machine or system you're working upon. Point 2. Electrical sockets must not be overloaded. Why do you connect over 70 to 100 computers on one electronic socket? You're overloading it. It is supplying too much power, more than it's supposed to do. So that's why at times you'll find some of the, let's say if an electrical socket is overloaded, you'll find it melting, overheating, because it is supplying much power more than it's supposed to do. So it is always advisable to actually make or give each computer its electronic socket to prevent even the more problems that can happen, hence losing many of the computers in the lab. And point 3 tells us that there must be adequate space around the machine. You're working upon a machine, but it is overcrowded. The workstation is actually overcrowded. You're going to find yourself that you're actually going to push some of the components down, hence making or a breakage to some of the components. So it is always advisable and adequate to give a bigger or an adequate workspace around the computer you're working upon or you're using. There should be no trailing or compact wires. Don't over triple wires onto one another. And at times to solve that, wires are always put into trunks to prevent electric shocks. Why triple or trail wires over others? To prevent those problems, you're not supposed to trail wires onto others. Heating and ventilation must be suitable. You're having a smaller computer lab, but you have put many computers there. Remember, these computers produce too much heat, and even the people who are going to use them will be producing heat. So provide enough ventilation to those computers to let out the heat that is being produced by the computers you're using. Remember, when a computer overheats, at times they will even switch themselves off. So never crowd computers in a single room. And if actually you have put some computers there, provide enough ventilation to let out the heat. Lighting must be suitable with no glare or reflection. So remember, if you strain your eyes too much when you're using a computer, for example, in darkness, it's going to, let's say, cause, first of all, the eye strain. And at times it causes what we call the headache. So the lighting in the room that you're using or you're actually having has to be actually suitable or enough. They're telling us that the benches and the desks must be strong enough to support the computers. Make them wider and strong enough to support all the efforts that is actually being put on a computer. Let them not be shaking. So let them be firm enough to hold and support the computers that you're having to prevent the other problems that might occur. The breakage of other components when they fall down. We continue. And in this next slide, we are actually going to be talking about the health and safety when working with computers. What are we supposed to look at when you're working on a computer? Remember, safety comes first, or health comes first. What are we supposed to look at when we are working onto a computer that can maintain our health when it is in good condition? And they are telling us that within ICT, it is important that people have an awareness of the various health and safety issues. Steps should be taken to prevent common ICT problems rather than trying to cure them at a later date. For example, use too much brightness on your monitor, you're going to get what we call eye defect. But you can overcome that by, let's say, do things that can actually limit that. So they're telling us that these problems include, we are going to see all those problems. First of all, we have the back pain or the back problems. And this is caused by the poor sitting posture. How do you actually sit? So they're telling us that this is probably due to a poor posture or an awkward position while sitting at a computer. That's why you are advised to always use what we call an ergonomically set workstation. Use an adjustable chair. Are we together? Such that you can actually be making some movements. You prevent that back problem. So they are telling us that solution to this, use a fully adjustable chair to avoid poor sitting posture. And the screens should be tilted or able to be tilted to turn to a position that avoids awkward movements. So your chair has to be adjustable, and even the screens must be able to be tilted such that you can put them at a level that you feel that you're always comfortable. That is one problem. We come to another one. And that is the eye strain. Eyes can be strained after staring at a computer screen for a long time, particularly if working in bad light or with a flickering screen. Those screens that always do flash, we call them flickering screens. So they cause what we call eye strain, because you're straining your eye or you're staring at a computer for a longer period of time. So how can we overcome that? They're giving us the solution. We can use what we call the screen filters or anti-glare screens, such that you can fit them onto your monitor and they filter out that excess amount of light that comes to your eyes. Are we together? So they're telling us that screen filters or anti-glare screens can remove a high percentage of the harmful rays emitted from computer screens. So they prevent or they filter out that excess light that would have destroyed your eyes. And another one, we can use screens that do not flicker or flash or drop or spark. If you see a monitor flickering or flashing, you replace it with a newer or repaired one. We continue. And they're telling us that take regular breaks, i.e. do not work for more than 1 hour without taking a break. You've worked on a computer for over 5 to 7 hours without actually getting any break. That one will cause what we call the eye strain. And in that event, you'll also get what we call the headache. So for us to overcome those, you can say take some breaks every after 30 minutes. You take some breaks. You stretch. etc. So lighting must be suitable and blinds fitted to windows to reduce the glare. They say you have your windows, you have to put or fit their blinds such that the lighting in the room is appropriate and enough, such that you do not strain your eyes to look at something that is not visible. We continue. And we are having another problem, which is the repetitive strain injury, which is termed as the RSI. RSI is damage to the fingers, the wrist, and other parts of the body due to repeated movements over a long period of time. You've been typing for the whole day. You expect the pain in the wrist, the fingers, the pain in the fingers. So if you do something repeatedly or for a long period of time, that task you're doing is going to cause what we call the repetitive strain injury. And how can we solve that? We can do that to prevent repetitive strain injury. Make sure your posture is correct. Sit upright. Sit well in an adjustable chair. Use wrist resters and have a 5-minute break from typing every hour. You have to take some breaks. Why do you type for over 5 years on a computer without resting? So you can take after 5 minutes, you can take some break from the typing every hour. So if you do a task repeatedly, it can cause what we call the repetitive strain injuries. And number 4, we are going to be looking at what we call the ozone irritation. And this one especially comes from laser printers when we are actually printing. So they're telling us that health experts suggested that ozone emitted from laser printers can lead to breathing problems because it damages the lungs. So whenever you're printing an item, that heat that is emitted and that smoke that is emitted from the from the laser printer as well as your printing can damage the lungs. So how can we overcome that? Solution to that is it is recommended that a laser printer should be suited at least 1 meter away from where people are sitting, and there should be good ventilation in the room to allow free flow of air such that people are not affected by that emission from the laser printer. We continue. And we are actually having what we call the chapter summary. We have actually come to the end of our chapter 1. So we are having a summary of what we've been talking about. And in this chapter, you have learned about the meaning of ICT. I think by this time, if I ask you, or if someone tells you to talk about ICT, you're able to explain it. We have talked about the common ICTs at workplaces and their uses. Computers, what are they used for? Phones, what are they used for? Printers, what are they used for? Tablets, what are they used for? And many others, as we've been saying. We've talked about the application of ICT in our daily lives. What do we use ICT in our daily lives? We have talked about the education, our homes, offices, and other areas. Mention but a few. We have looked at how we can handle and maintain our ICT tools. So we have also looked at the ICT safety precautions and security threats. Remember we said a threat can cause harm to a computer and how we can overcome them. So it's been Henry the Computer Guy. Thank you for being part of, let's say, my lesson. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe and also share the link to other people who might need it. Thank you for watching. Let me see you in the next video. I sign out.